He fell asleep in New Jersey before the bombs hit the ground. Broadcasting from a bomb shelter, he is the nuclear clown. As the old Outworld saying goes, finish me once, shame on you. Finish me twice, fatality. Like you, I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. Because there's either Street Fighter guys or Mortal Kombat guys. Me, I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. Not too bright. Like a lot of bright, flashy colors. And Dhalsim's teleport is impossible on a joystick. I've always liked the style of Mortal Kombat. And I don't mean the blood and the gore and all that stuff. I mean just the general kind of theme of the games. It's sort of like a heavy metal kung fu movie, I guess. With lots of blood and chains and naked girls running around ripping each other's balls off and stuff. It's always had kind of its own flavor. And don't get me wrong, I like Street Fighter, but if I had to pick, I think I'm a Mortal Kombat person because I liked the whole story, the whole it follows a typical standard fighting game story of there's some kind of tournament and a bunch of people fighting to see who's the best, whatever. But there's also the whole element of merging of the realms and each individual character's story and kind of the progression as it goes along. For some reason, it seemed like there was more, I guess, meat on the Mortal Kombat storyline. And you know me and meat and food. Mortal Kombat's come a long way in the 900 years it's been out. So let's do a little game-by-game thing, shall we? Mortal Kombat 1, I remember I saw in the arcade when I was just a small, ugly kid. And I remember I saw it and I thought, oh my god, those people are real. And I thought to myself, this is the end-all, be-all of technology. We're never going to surpass this. This is like it. Turned out I was a little bit off, by a little bit, and Mortal Kombat 2 came out, which revolutionized my life. I loved Mortal Kombat 2, and it was a huge step up in content, and the story evolved into something so much greater than the first one. And I seriously think that the Mortal Kombat jump from 1 to 2 is really just a great kind of storyline progression. Where Mortal Kombat 1 was more like this mysterious island and this old ancient sorcerer guy who's holding this tournament, 2 opened up a whole new, literally a whole new realm with Outworld and just the storyline going on, and you find out Shang Tsung's not the big boss. His big boss has big special muscles and a sledgehammer. So, and 2 also, what, in 1 there were 7 characters, in 2 I believe there were 12, and it just, with Shang Tsung turning young again, everything was just perfect, I thought, in 2, and then Super Nintendo came out with an arcade-perfect Mortal Kombat 2, which broke my heart, because I'm an idiot, and I had Genesis. Our Mortal Kombat's not so perfect. But I'm sure that had nothing to do with how I grew up, looking like this. So Mortal Kombat 2 I love. Mortal Kombat 1 was good, Mortal Kombat 2 was better, and Mortal Kombat 3 was terrible. Mortal Kombat 3 introduced combos, where Nightwolf can do a 7-hit combo and take away 40% of my goddamn life because he's an Indian and all that shit. Fuck you, Nightwolf, and the reservation you rode in on. So, 3 I didn't like. It had a lot of people who looked like they got their costumes from the Halloween store at the mall. And it introduced animalities, which is goofy. Turning people into babies, that's art. Turning into an animal and eating them, guys, now we're just getting silly, okay? So that brings us to Mortal Kombat 4, which I never played. Next. No, well, actually, let me talk about 4 for a little bit, because while I've never actually played 4, I know enough about 4 to say that it was a bad idea. Because the people who did Mortal Kombat said, you know what, all this 3D fighting game stuff is all the rage, so we're going to do a 3D Mortal Kombat. And I don't think it was very good, but again, I've never played it. So I just don't know what to do. But chances are, it sucked. Take my word for it, even though I never played it. You with me? Okay. So then we get into Mortal Kombat 5 through 7, 8, which leads us to 9. Well, alright, let me try to see if I can remember this. It was Mortal Kombat 4, which led to Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, which was the first like Xbox and PS2 Mortal Kombat, I think. And Deadly Alliance was... a lot of the fighters got silly. The guy with the blindfold, Kenshi, and the laser sword or whatever, not a fan. Not a big fan. But for me, it was always about the story. Like, how's the story progressing? What's going on? And I didn't really spend too much time on Deadly Alliance. I think I got it relatively late, so I don't really know too much about it. Now, Mortal Kombat Deception, or Mortal Kombat 5, I actually thought was very, very good. Probably one of my favorites of the kind of later games, because 2 will always be the reigning champion of right here. But Deception I thought was good. It was for PS2. It had this big, drawn-out role-play type mode, which I liked, where you got to explore all the realms and stuff like that in a different kind of environment. And Mortal Kombat arcade console games, for the most part, have always been pretty good about including a really cool extra kind of mini-games. And it was neat. It was good. I liked Deception a lot. Melina's half naked, always a plus. So then Armageddon came out, and Armageddon included every character that's ever been in a Mortal Kombat game ever. That's like 60-something characters. It was ridiculous. It was insane. A very noble effort. Mataro was in there, Goro was in there, Kentaro, all playable. Everybody playable. All the bosses and all that stuff. I thought it was a good effort. You could create your own character, which I thought was good. And it was funny because I made a girl with enormous breasts, and her fighting style, she used a gigantic axe, and you could name your fighting styles, and her gigantic axe fighting style was called Cleavage. Get it? Axe. Cleavage. Boobs. You see what I'm saying there. So, they also introduced the kind of build a fatality, like a Build-A-Bear with guts and shit. And you put in different, when the finish him screen came up, you put in a code, and then you'd like rip the guy's thumbs off, and then you put in another code, and then you'd rip his legs off, and then you put another code, and you could poke him in the eye with his thumbs, and then you put another code, and you cut him in half with a lightsaber. And it kind of made fatalities sort of generic in a way, because nobody really had an identity anymore when they couldn't kill people in their own way. It was kind of like you just chained together these random kind of gruesome things, which got a little bit silly after a while. But Armageddon, I thought overall wasn't all that bad. Which brings us to Mortal Kombat 8, which is DC Universe and Mortal Kombat. Because we've always wanted to know who would win in a fight between Robin and Noob Saibot. What, I'm the only one? So yeah, Mortal Kombat vs. DC, I'd rather not talk about it too much. Let's get to the good stuff. Mortal Kombat 9, the most recent edition, is a kind of reboot-ish-esque type thing. The story mode for Mortal Kombat 9 is an frankly awesome retelling of the first 3 Mortal Kombat game stories. Awesome with the side of, I'm going to throw this game through the window. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Mortal Kombat needed this. They needed to start again. They needed a reboot. They needed to freshen up, so to speak. And I love that they took a very back-to-basic approach with this game. There's nothing crazy new that revolutionizes the game. They didn't add in 3D, 4D fighting areas or anything like that. for the most part, the staple characters are in this game, and they stuck to what works and got rid of all the extra stuff. There's no stupid brutalities, animalities, and all that crap. Every character has 2 fatalities, a stage fatality, and a babality, and I like that. I like that they kept it simple. You don't always have to keep topping yourself and topping yourself, because the way Mortal Kombat ended up was really kind of a joke, where every character had 3 fatalities and 6 babalities and an animality and a brutality and a casuality and a duality and a gunality. Long story short, it got a bit much. So in this, back to basics, 2 fatalities, the pop, babality, stage fatality. Let's call the whole thing off, and I like it. I like it like that a lot. Quality over quantity. Quality over quanchi. And there's about 20-something fighters in this, but all the good ones are in there. I'm sure nobody's saying, where the fuck is Rain? Seriously, nobody cares about Rain. But the most impressive thing about this game, and there are a lot of impressive things about Mortal Kombat 9, the thing I like the most is that they decided to retell the stories of Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 in a very long, very detailed story mode. And I have to give a lot of credit where credit is due. The story mode I thought was excellent. DC Universe vs. Mortal Kombat had a storyline mode, but the storyline mode consisted of, I'm Superman, I'm in my Fortress of Solitude. Oh no, all these weird people from this other dimension have come in. I'm gonna go talk to Batman. And then Cabal jumps out at Superman, and Superman goes, oh, who are you? Fight. And then you fight Cabal. And then you're like, oh, who the fuck was that guy? I'd better go see Batman again. Cyrax jumps out. Oh my god, a robot. Fight. You get the picture. And this story mode laces in, you know, fights as well. Obviously, it has to. It's a fighting game. But it's a lot less egregious than DC Universe was, and a lot less dumb than the DC Universe storyline was with Mortal Kombat. Now, I thought that it was very well done, but I do have some nits to pick. They did the whole Star Trek movie ripoff thing, and I hate that. I hate when people have to come up with an excuse to reboot something. You know, you can't... They should have just said, Mortal Kombat's stale, we're going to reboot it, we're going to start it again. This is a retelling of Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 story. There you go. And no one would have a problem with it. But instead, they did what the new Star Trek movie, or the newest Star Trek movie did, where Raiden goes back in time to warn his young self about this or that. So Raiden, through the whole thing, is having visions of the future, and he has to make the future. Yes, you know what I'm talking about, right? That was unnecessary. All they had to do was say, "We're gonna reboot this game." I don't like that they were kind of. It's like, oh, forgive us, guys. We're gonna. Is it okay? Is it okay if we reboot it? Yeah, because it's old. Star Trek was old. They had to do a new movie. They shouldn't have done the stupid time travel where it's like, oh, no one's going to accept the new Star Trek if Leonard Nimoy's not in it. Bullshit. Okay, so what? You'll make a few people mad. Big deal. You're going to make people mad no matter what you do when you reboot a popular franchise. Anyway, and again, it's a small complaint, but that was kind of like, come on, guys. But again, very, very small complaint on that. The voice acting for the story mode is awesome. The voice acting, I thought, was very, very, very good. All the characters kind of had their little moments, and it does kind of get a little bit repetitive with, a little snippet of story, then a fight. A little snippet of story, then a fight. And I think what they could have done to kind of break up the monotony a little bit is thrown in some challenges from the whole challenge ladder they have, which I'll get to in a minute, to kind of break things up and throw in some more mini games. The test of strength returns, the test of sight and all that shit, where you break boards and you look at eyeballs and you look at skulls with eyeballs in them, and then you take the eyeballs and you eat them. Test of guts and all that. You remember those. So all that stuff returns for this Mortal Kombat. But I think it would have been nice if they kind of spliced that in with the story mode to sort of break it up, because really I found myself not interested in the fights and just wanting to see where the story progressed, which I guess is a sign of how good I thought the story really was. That I just want to see what happens. And I beat the story mode in one sitting because I have very few things to do. Yeah. And I was kind of a little bit upset because I would have liked them to give maybe an extra where you can watch the story mode with the fights cut out and just kind of sit there and enjoy like this sort of movie that's playing, and that's actually very, very well done. And I'm sure on YouTube somebody will chop it up where they take out the fights and they just show the story, and that'll be great when that happens. But I would have liked it if it was like an extra where you unlock that where you could watch it whenever you want. That would have been kind of neat. And I thought it was really great that in this Mortal Kombat, when even though they have this big long story mode where it goes through a lot of the events that happened in Mortal Kombat, you see Jax get his arms ripped off and all that stuff, the transformation of Cyrax and Sector into ninja robots. But seriously, it's not that bad the way they, ninja robots is dumb. Let there be no doubt. But I thought it was kind of cool that they show the kind of transformation. You can play Sector and Cyrax as their kind of mortal, how they were before they got turned. All right. I don't like robot ninjas, but whatever. So the story mode answers a lot of questions, I guess. It retells some things, and I thought it was very, very good. A very excellent job on the story mode. So I thought, well, since they have this long, in-depth story, I wonder if the fighters have their own endings when you beat it in arcade mode. So I played arcade mode, and sure enough, all the fighters have their own endings, and they're very well done endings too. It's not just text on the screen and somebody reading text. The level of detail and the level of care in Mortal Kombat 9 really does show, I think. With the story mode, with the voice acting, with a lot of things, and I'm very, very pleased. The stage fatalities in this game are awesome. The fatalities, for the most part, the vast majority of fatalities in this game are very cool and very well done. Sure, there's some silly ones. It's Mortal Kombat. There's always going to be silly stuff in Mortal Kombat, but all in all, Mortal Kombat 9, if you're any kind of fan of the franchise, you really owe it to yourself to pick it up. They really did right by this game, and a lot of really, really good stuff. They also have a challenge ladder, which is, I believe it's about 300 different challenges, and as you complete them, you kind of move up this big ladder. And each of the different challenges is a different kind of fight scenario. Some of them you'll be poisoned and you'll lose health slowly and you have to defeat your opponent. And some of them are little mini games, real fun little mini games that you have to do. Like the test your might thing where you're breaking boards and stuff, and all the other kind of little neat things they throw into Mortal Kombat games. And I do like the challenge ladder, but like I said, it would have been nice if they would have mixed in some of these with the story mode, so it's not so kind of repetitive where, you watch a little bit of a story, you fight somebody, you watch a little bit of a story, you fight somebody. So it would have been nice if they threw some of that in there. But the challenge mode is pretty much the only extra in this. If I can nitpick on this game, it would probably be that I'm kind of spoiled with Mortal Kombat and the little extra games they would throw in. Like, I believe Deception had like a little mini car game where, Deception had like a Tetris type game, like a puzzle fighter game, which was adorable. Deception had Mortal Kombat chess, which I thought was really good. And Armageddon had like a little kart game, which I thought was so adorable. And I would have liked something like that in Mortal Kombat 9, but it doesn't have that. But you know, again, that's me really, really nitpicking here because they spoiled me with all the neat little mini games. But the challenge ladder is good; it'll keep you busy for a while. The crypt makes a return where you can unlock alternate costumes in the hopes of seeing your female fighter with less and less clothes. And the crypt is fun and good, and please don't spend any coins randomly guessing where anything is. You can go online and find where everything is, so you can go and buy all your alternate costumes and all the extra fatalities and stuff like that without wasting it on concept sketches and stuff like that. Another real tiny nitpick I have about this game, and again, this is how good the game is, where I have these little things that bother me about it. Overall, I like this game a lot. It's very, very good. The character select screen, I think, needs some touching up. It's just a still picture of the guy, you know, when you're selecting people. And I don't know, by now you'd think they'd come up with something that's a bit more flashy, I guess. I would have liked to see, you know, maybe the characters sort of moving. Didn't they have this in a game? Where, I think, was it 2? Or was it 1 where you picked the guy and they did a little movie, a little movie when you selected him? I don't remember. But something like that would be nice. Just having the pic, you know, it seems like, you know, the fighter select screen has not evolved with all the graphics and all the new technology. Pretty much every fighting game uses the same kind of character select screen, and I know this is like a severely tiny detail, but you think by now somebody would come up with something that's like, oh wow, that's different. You know, that looks a bit spiff, but not really. Just the pictures. Something kind of seems a little bit dated about that, and a lot of times the people's skin has a strange texture to it. This is a little graphic thing I noticed. Maybe it's just me, but the skin on the characters just looks kind of weird, and some of the people just look kind of funky. But the graphics overall are excellent in Mortal Kombat 9. Or in the commercial, they call it Mortal Kombat Fatality Lives. That's so stupid. That's so. I hope that's not the name of the game. I just call it Mortal Kombat or Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat Fatality Lives. Anyway, so there's that. There's a skin thing, this and that, and the other thing. And are you a Katana guy or a Melina guy or a Jade guy? I've always been a Melina guy. Katana's like prissy, you know. Melina, you go out with Melina, you have fun. You have a fun time with her. She's a character. She's a card. You know, Jade seems kind of serious to me, and Katana's like prissy, you know, wants to go steady and wear your jacket type deal. Melina's cool. You go out with her, you grab a pizza or something. One thing I did notice is that I don't think that the Xbox 360 got a special character for this game. I got it for Xbox 360. For PlayStation 3, Kratos from God of War is playable, or he's a secret character or something like that. And I don't really care all that much, because I think it's neat that they do the extra playable character depending on which console you get. They did it with Soul Calibur. And I think that's cool. I never play the extra character because it's always from another game. It's like Spawn or Link or something. I don't give a shit. I mean, not like it really matters. It's not like if Xbox got, I don't know, Sonic and Knuckles, like I'd pick them or anything. But it is worth noting that I don't believe Xbox 360 gets any special characters or anything like that for their release of Mortal Kombat 9. But there are characters that are going to be downloadable content, which I think is pretty neat, pretty darn cool. And I just gotta say, overall, Mortal Kombat 9 is an excellent, excellent game, and I'm having a really great time with it. And, you know, I gotta say, the term X-ray moves, that sounds kind of stupid. I wish they came up with a new term for it. I don't know, just X-ray moves. It seems like, well, you got these moves where it's like a little X-ray type thing happens. What do you want to call them? X-ray moves? I don't know. I would have liked something else. But yeah, you know, they're easy to do. They're like super moves that do incredible damage. You could link them in with combos, and they just look incredible. A lot of them are very cool, particularly Curtis Stryker's X-ray move thing is just awesome. And that's probably the only time in my life I'll ever use the phrase Curtis Stryker and awesome in the same sense. So take a picture, because it doesn't happen often. So his X-ray move is very good. He beats you up with a nightstick and then tases you in the jaw, and that's fun. And just a lot of the attention to detail in this game I really like. Like when you do the X-ray move with Stryker and he hits you with the baton, just that metallic baton sound adds so much to the effect. It just looks great. And when you do an X-ray move that targets the head on somebody like Baraka or Melina, it's really neat because you actually see their teeth are all messed up, you know, the fangs and stuff like that, which is just a really good attention to detail, like I said. And you can tell that from the creative fatalities and the creative babalities, which are really funny. You could tell that the people who made this game took a lot of time and a lot of care, and it definitely shows. The story mode can get a bit aggravating, especially when you have to fight two people with one energy bar, because they introduced tag modes, which is fun as fuck with 4 people. I was playing tag mode with 4 people, and it was just awesome. It was a really great time, and something new that I don't think we've ever seen in Mortal Kombat before. But the 2-on-1 stuff, that'll upset you when you're playing the story mode. When you have 1 bar of health and you have to defeat 2 people with 2 bars of health, yeah, right. Not a lot of fun, and you have to do it more often than I'd like. Let's just say that, to the point where I think they kind of overuse it, the whole 2-on-1 deal. But story mode, all in all, quality stuff. Really good. I'm very pleased with it. But one thing about story mode bothers me, and I know I'm nitpicking again, but I really do need a rule book for the Mortal Kombat tournament, because they're on Shang Tsung's island, and I think it's Sector and Cyrax get a bug up their robo butts for some reason, and they go to I forget who, and they say, "You want to fight, dog? We challenge you." And Shang Tsung goes, "Oh, challenge has been made. Sector and Cyrax versus you." And it's like, what? You mean that's how the tournament works? You have to answer any challenge, and it can even be from multiple people? Okay, Shang Tsung. Me, Jax, Sonya, Johnny Cage, Reptile, and Baraka challenge you, since you want to play. Something that just made me laugh was you can never kill anybody in the Mortal Kombat tournament in the storyline mode, which kind of defeats the purpose of Mortal Kombat. It's not Mercy Combat. Mercy fuck combat. You know, like when you first fight as Johnny Cage, and then Shang Tsung's like, "Finish him, kill him," and Johnny Cage is like, "I'm not gonna kill anybody, I just had my suit pressed." And, you know, everybody's kind of shocked at this. And I thought, that's funny. And then you play as other people, and when you fight as these other people in story mode, you don't kill anybody either. I don't know. People do die in the story mode, which I think was good. Kung Lao, nice. Spoiler alert. So Mortal Kombat 9 gets a high five recommendation from this guy right here.